New worries for Hillary and Bill Clinton as the FBI reportedly expands its investigation of the Clinton Foundation. Sources told Fox News it's a very high priority. The FBI is looking into charges of a pay-for-play operation at the foundation. That wealthy and foreign donors made big donations to the Clinton charity in exchange for access to Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. While Mrs. Clinton may worry about more potentially damaging email leaks from WikiLeaks prior to the election, others are concerned that she's just not getting enough support from blacks and female voters. The president worries the black vote is not as solid for Hillary Clinton as it was for him. Campaigning for Clinton in North Carolina, he urged African Americans and college students to get out and vote.
I hate to put a little pressure on you, but the fate of the republic rests on your shoulders.
The president said if Hillary wins North Carolina, she'll win the election. He reminded voters that he won the state by only 14,000 votes. For Donald Trump, another display of voter enthusiasm, as his campaign said it was given more than $100 million in October in small donations of $200 or less.
I don't think that's ever been done. Has that ever been done before? That sounds more like a Democrat thing, not a Republican thing, right? That's a great honor. That means there are a lot of people out there that want us to really get this done.
And Trump has gained support in recent days after the FBI reopened its investigation into Clinton's emails, with one of the latest polls showing him picking up some support among women. An Investor's Business Daily tracking poll shows Trump's support among female voters has jumped 5 points in the past 3 days. As of Tuesday, 39% of women said they're backing Trump. That compares to 34% who supported him on Saturday. Clinton still has the clear lead among women. Trump's campaign staff isn't giving up on women, handing out pink signs to female voters attending his rallies. In Pensacola, Trump said he was trying to stay calm.
No sidetracks, Donald. Nice and easy. Nice. Because I've been watching Hillary the last few days. She's totally unhinged. We don't want any of that.
While Trump campaigned in Florida, Hillary Clinton set her sights on the West, hoping to win Arizona. That's something no Democrat has done in over 20 years. She made an appeal to Hispanic voters and blasted Donald Trump's immigration policy.
He doesn't really see Latinos, even those who've been here 9 or 10 generations, as fully American, does he?
With just 5 days to go now until the election, both candidates will be targeting independent voters and minorities, hoping to get those last few votes that could make the difference between victory or defeat. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Well, I'm looking at the polls, and here's the deal. They weight the polling in relation to the vote of the last election. So if there were so many black percentages of black voters, then they weight it that way when they set up the sampling. The only thing is the blacks aren't going to come out near as much for Hillary as they did for Barack Obama. So that makes those polls inaccurate already. But there's more than that, more than that. Now, the women who they thought were leaving Trump are voting at exactly the same percentage they voted for Mitt Romney. The question is whether Trump can get some more of them. But he is going deep into labor, blue-collar workers that were normally Democrat voters because the unions are disgusted with the progressive policies of the Obama administration. And then you've got an overlay of the health care, these enormous increases in the premiums. But there's something even more than this, and that has to do with this Clinton Foundation. And Jay Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice is with us now. And Jay, what is the deal? The Justice Department is trying to keep a lid on this investigation of the foundation. What are they doing?
So our friend Bret Baier from Fox News has two sources that have told him that the Clinton Foundation examination by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, by the FBI, has been ongoing for at least a year, that there is an internal strife, and this has been reported now in multiple sources, between the Department of Justice and the FBI. And what everybody needs to remember is that the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is a part of the Department of Justice. It has an independent director, that's James Comey, but the Attorney General of the United States, the FBI, reports to DOJ. So if DOJ says we are not going to follow through with a particular investigation, they can effectively shut it down. That is what's causing not only the internal strife, but now what you're seeing is what I think is going on is there is a mutiny, a rebellion inside the FBI, apparently, that FBI agents are aggravated by the way this has been handled. and the stand-down orders that have been given are meeting resistance. Now, ultimately, again, the FBI cannot bring a case in federal court. That's the Department of Justice. But this coming now 4 days out, 5 days out from an election for President of the United States is the worst possible news if you're on the Clinton campaign.
Well, the foundation, everybody's been pointing on the fact that, okay, she's leaked confidential information off her server. And yet the real meat of the investigation is the pay-for-play that goes on at the foundation.
Apparently that is what the focus of the investigation is, and that is that in order to have various meetings or speeches delivered by the then Secretary of State, certain amount of funds had to be donated to the foundation. Now, that would violate a series of not only internal regulations and rules and code of federal regulations, but also criminal law. You're not allowed to do pay-for-play to a cabinet member of the United States government. So this investigation now obviously has been made a lot more public. And Pat, let me go back to the fundamental problem with this entire setup, and that is the FBI and the Department of Justice did not follow their own manual. The Department of Justice manual in a criminal investigation at this point, this case should have been before a grand jury, subpoenas should have been issued, people should have been under oath, and evidence taken. They did not have a warrant for Anthony Weiner's electronic device. I mean, this is absurd. So they're trying to self-correct it now, but the fact of the matter is James Comey, Loretta Lynch, Deputy Director McCabe, none of them should be on this case, and a special prosecutor should be appointed. And by the way, this doesn't even mention the fact that yesterday's news was that the legal counsel for the Office of Government Affairs for the Department of Justice was leaking information to John Podesta, the head of the Clinton campaign, during last year, while the campaign was ongoing, about what the State Department was about to release or not release. This is unprecedented in U.S. history.
Well, the whole idea of this foundation, we understand that Uranium One, that guy, I think his name is Justra, he gave $31 million to the Clinton Foundation, and they got preferential treatment. Then we wound up selling that thing, and the State Department cleared the sale of our uranium assets to Russia. I mean, the whole thing stinks to high heaven, and that is illegal, isn't it?
It is illegal. The FBI is supposed to be investigating, but I ask the fundamental question, Pat, that every American that's watching this broadcast right now, or wherever you are in the world watching this broadcast, where's the grand jury? Where's the subpoenas? Where are we putting people under oath? That hasn't been leaked. It shouldn't be leaked, by the way, if there's a grand jury, but there's no indication that a grand jury's been impaneled. And that, to me, is the fundamental problem here. That's why this has been a mess from the beginning. James Comey and Loretta Lynch are embarrassing their own agencies, the Department of Justice and the FBI, and pay-to-play is a crime.
Well, Loretta Lynch was a U.S. attorney, I think, Southern District of New York. She was appointed by Bill Clinton to that job, and then subsequently Obama made her attorney general. She is highly political, it looks like.
Well, I think the whole look. I mean, that's a clear statement. That's correct. It's beyond politics, though. It's an embarrassment. This is the United States Department of Justice, and look what we're seeing. What we're seeing at the United States Department of Justice, not only the politicization of the FBI, but the incompetence. I mean, let's just call this what it is. Complete and utter incompetence of the agencies. And whether you're for Hillary Clinton, against Hillary Clinton, for Donald Trump, against Donald Trump, that's not even relevant right now. What's relevant is, as far as this investigation goes, is there was evidently, looks like certainly serious allegations as to violations of criminal law with no proper procedures followed for the investigation. That is prosecution 101, and that's the problem here.
Well, the other thing that seems weird is that they said, well, okay, we'll grant you immunity to the aid to Hillary Clinton, two aides, and then we're going to take your laptop or your email device, whatever it is, and we're going to destroy it, which is rather strange. Now it comes out that they didn't destroy it, and they're going to open them up. What's the deal? I mean, who ever heard of such a thing?
So they originally agreed that they would destroy them. Of course, that would be obstruction of justice in my view. But here's what you've got. If you lied during your testimony, that usually negates any kind of immunity agreement. So the allegation would be that there's been some type of lying, and I'm sure there has been with regard, it sounds like, with where the devices are, who has custody of the devices, additional devices. So that would negate the immunity deals. Now, none of us have seen the immunity deal, so this is a bit of speculation here. But that's how you would open up so to speak, the immunity deal. But I think this raises a whole specter of issues. What are we, 5 days out from a presidential election? And I think that the reality is not only is it impacting the polls, I think it's impacting the American psyche. And that is, we don't want an FBI and a Department of Justice that's not competent. They're supposed to be keeping us safe.
We sure don't want a president who is under indictment. At the moment she's sworn in, they'd begin to prosecute her for a crime. That would destroy our democracy.
Remember the pardon power, though, Pat. The President of the United States, President Obama, could pardon her. That doesn't end the inquiries from Congress, but there's the pardon power. So that looms in the background of all of this. Because, interestingly, the president's been still pretty aggressive, even though it's his FBI director, James Comey. He appointed Comey. That is the one that's come out publicly on this. Look, I'm not defending, and I will not defend, and I have not defended on this broadcast James Comey. I think he's done a miserable job here, and he should resign, as should Loretta Lynch. But you know what? You've got to get a special prosecutor in there. Nobody trusts the Bureau's ability to do this right now. I think the Bureau doesn't trust themselves. They're second-guessing everything because of the internal fighting between the FBI and the DOJ. Get a special prosecutor, sign him or her IRS, FBI, whatever other agents you need to get in there and find out what is going on in this whole mess.
Well, boy, I tell you, if Obama pardons her, it will stink to high heaven. I mean, the country will be in revolt. If it's not, there's something strange about the American psyche. They have to revolt against this. This is horrible.
Well, look, I mean, we have never experienced this in our lifetime, a situation like this, where you've got this internal fighting between the Department of Justice and the FBI being displayed before the United States citizenry, as well as the United States Congress. You got Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, that are outraged at what James Comey did the 10 days before. Should have never gotten to that point because they should have followed the rules. But, Pat, look, if there's been a crime committed, it's going to be investigated. And whether you're the president or not, we know one thing: presidents are not above the law. That means whether it's Donald Trump or if it's Hillary Clinton, they're not above the law. Richard Nixon wasn't above the law. But look what is going on right now and the impact that this is having on the election. It's buckle your seatbelt time.
It sure is, Jay. Thank you so much.
Tight. Buckle it tight, because it's going to be a bumpy ride here coming into the end.